Shalom, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, or Hakwadash, double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us his truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful like Akim, teaching and preaching his truth with all righteousness and sincerity. Zak Awasap, today's lesson is entitled, And if a man entice a maid, and Lord willing, you be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the true names of the Heavenly Father, and his only begotten Son. And as always, the sit downs, the lessons, the street speaking is for the remnant, the elect, the Israel of the Most High, to use the gospel preached. So the inspiration of this lesson comes from a video that Elder Apostle Har recently did, and he went into the grape topic. All right, and let me see if we can pull it up real quick. Let's see, history. He went into the grape topic, so I want to land back on that, and it's this video here. So I'll put it in the chat. And it's entitled "The Topic of Grape Revisited, a Must-Watch Video." So let me copy and paste that, put that over here. Right. And this, the grape subject or topic is not a doctrine that, we teach for men to go out and perform. What we do is we bring out the understanding of how we dealt with grape when it happened in the ancient world. All right. We don't push the vibration of doing it now. All right. Because that's, that's frowned upon in this society. All right. And this is an ancient custom. When you read in Deuteronomy 20, the second chapter, which Lord willing we'll get into it, it goes into laws on morality. When we were dwelling in the wilderness, it was millions, scholars say it was millions of Israelites in the wilderness. So there had to be laws in place to deal with, civil matters. It wasn't just love your neighbor. It was a host of different laws to deal with civil laws, laws on morality, laws on, dealing with sacrifices, laws with dealing with theft and so on and so forth. So once again, the disclaimer is, there's not a doctrine that, we push where we teach to go out and grape, but we do teach on how in the ancient world, when it happened, we had laws in place in order to deal with it in decency and in order. All right. And, a lot of the adversaries, of truth, they try to come up, and when their backs are against the wall, they try to, do the low blow and say that we teach so-called a grape doctrine. All right. So I'm going to start off with Philippians 1, because we are set up as defenders of the gospel. And that's a part of the truth. All right. And once again, Lord willing, be edifying through the spirit. Let me see. All right. I'll start off perfect. It's perfect. Philippians, no, this is Philemon, right? In Philippians 1 and 15, it says, some indeed preach Yahweh Shai, even of envy and strife. Yeah, some people just out there just to, preach this doctrine just to, cause problems. It's not about edifying. It's not about building up the elect. All right. It's not about teaching and preaching in righteousness and sincerity, getting the hopeful elect minds right for this time to come. It's just for them to teach in the manner that's caused problems and contention. Right. It says, and some also of goodwill. Yeah, because the true man of the Lord is set up to feed the sheep with knowledge and understanding. All right, to give the sheep warning from Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, to build the sheep up, Scripture speak about knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So in order to build up the elect with that stability, the Lord is going to have men set up to preach of goodwill. You know, it says one preach Yahweh Shai of contention, not sincerely. Yeah, you look at a lot of these other people outside of the truth that preach, Yahweh Shai, and it's just contention. It's not about lessons with carrying your burden. Dealing with trials and tribulations. Waiting upon the Lord. Increasing your faith. You don't see lessons about that. It's always about, oh well, this camp is doing this camp is doing that, which that happens, but your overall teaching shouldn't evolve around just contention. Not sincerely supposing to add bond affliction to my bonds. But here's the point. But the other of love, all right, preaching the truth, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. So we gotta, defend the gospel. When we hear people saying that, leadership is preaching, a grape doctrine, we gotta go into these precepts and rightly divide the word of truth to defend it. Now I'm gonna start here. In Exodus 22:16 says sundry laws. We got women in different type of ways. There was the extreme case where a man saw a woman and he took her. But there was a penalty with that because he couldn't put that woman away all the days of his life. So we're gonna go into that. It was also arranged marriages, where the father, seeing his son reaching the age of 11, 12, he's entering into becoming a man, and he sets his son up with a daughter. What we read about Abraham, what he did for Isaac. He basically got his son a gift. He got him a wife, and then you had men that went out and enticed a maid. All right, so we're gonna go into that first, and then we're gonna hit this other subject in Deuteronomy 22. Exodus 22:16, and if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed meaning engaged, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. And it was particular endowments. You have to pay the father a particular amount. And that would be the exchange of of getting a wife. Now this word entice right here, it goes back to the Hebrew word patha, and it's says to be spacious, open, wide. It says to be simple, entice, deceive, persuade. All right, if you're into the manosphere, the whole red pill thing, you got what you call PUAs, which is an acronym for pickup artists, and they centered their teachings of gaming women up. All right, that logic isn't old. I mean, that logic isn't new. That's something that went back into the ancient world. You approach a woman, and you tell her what she want to hear. You game her up. You tell her she's beautiful. You give her these compliments. You give her that attention. You know what I mean? You buy her a gift. You do these particular things. All right. You entice a maid to lay with her. You may buy her flowers or whatever. Take her to get something to eat. Take her to a place that she never been. That's something that has always been around. So this was one particular way we got women. We did, as they call it today, you did the cold approach. You walked up on her. You introduced her. You asked her, is she seeing somebody? Is she married? Is she betrothed? Yada yada yada. You tell her you tell her something. A lot of times, Jake, you sell these women a dream. That's why it says in the NIV, if a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, you sometimes seduce women. You tell her about, the type of lifestyle you live in, and she get interested, and you tell her like, look, you can jump on board, if you my woman, yada, yada, yada. Right. And, you end up sleeping with that woman. But, since you did that, you can't just put her away. She got to be your wife. All right. So that's one way we got women. Now going to Deuteronomy 22 verse 13, it says laws on morality. Morality is basically principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong and good and bad behavior. So we had laws on that. It says, and if a man take a wife and go into her and hate her. So there's times where you'll get a wife and, over time you end up disliking her. You find certain uncleanness about her. She may be rebellious. She may be a brawling woman. You find out she's a brawling woman. She may be clamorous. All right. Disobedient. She's not a good mother. So on and so forth. Right. And give occasions of speech against her and bringing up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman and when I came into her, I found her not a maid. So in this particular situation, this man, he brings a occasion of speech against, this particular woman that, he was dealing with. And that was that he found her, she wasn't a virgin. All right. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel virginity, which was a white cloth that you lay down, on the bed on the night of, the marriage, which the marriage is the joining together of two individuals, and that's done by the act of sex. Sex consummates marriage. So there was a particular cloth that, we laid down. So when a man went into a woman, the hymen would break, and then she would bleed, and then that was an indicator or a token or a sign that the damsel was a virgin. So once again, take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And that's what the leadership was. We went to the gates of the city, and that's where we would have these different civil matters and so on and so forth. We had different problems, when our neighbors, might have, mistakenly killed one of our cattle. We got to go to the gates of the city to go handle that. A thief, came and stole some shit, and you found out who it was, a day later. You go to the elders, you tell them about it, and they investigate the situation. Verse 16, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, the leadership, I gave my daughter unto this man a wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he have given occasion of speech against her. So, he's bringing up, charges against this woman, Oh, this woman, she was acting like she was, which we're going to find out that, this was done in deception, but you had these situations that actually happened, Oh, this woman I took for a maid, thought she was a virgin. She not, she a hoe, yada, 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 right? Saying, I have found not thy daughter a maid, yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, which this guy who brings up this charge in this particular account, was simple because the father and mother had the token of the daughter's virginity, and, through the spirit, he was probably trying to find a way to get out of it. He probably, because sometimes Jake is like that. You'll deal with a woman, you'll lust after, and then as soon as you get it, you be cool on it. They call it today post-nut clarity. After you hit, you like, and you got examples of that in the scripts. You had David's son, Amnon, I want to believe, Amnon, he went into his brother's daughter, Tamar. And then after that, he hated her, But we had laws, enacted to where, you go into a woman, you just can't put her away just because for anything. It has to be something like adultery that had to have happened in order for you to put her away. Yahweh Shai went into that. But continuing on, Deuteronomy 22:17, and lo, he have given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. So they had the proof. When the father and mother went to the elders at the gate in the city, they had the proof that their daughter was a virgin. And this was like a transaction. A man, he buys the daughter, he pays the dowry, and then, the father and mother will produce this cloth, the man goes into her, blood is on this cloth, the cloth is given back to the parents, and they will hold that in their possession just in case these civil matters come up, right? It says, yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And, you can imagine that. Here it is, at the gate of the city, you spreading this cloth with blood on it. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall I believe we read this in other translations. They say they put hands and feet on them. Yep. ESV, English Standard Version, the elders of that city shall take the man and whip him. So it's a particular punishment, right? Verse 19, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver. That was a lot of money back then. And give them unto the father of the damsel, because he had brought an evil name upon the virgin of Israel, because she was actually a virgin. He was just trying to find a way to get out of it. And she shall be his wife. Maybe he was probably, trying to bank on the father and mother losing that cloth. Because if the father and mother, might have lost the cloth and couldn't produce it, then, this will work out in his favor. So they made sure they had that proof. But continue on in Deuteronomy 22:19, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel. So not only did he get his ass whooped, he had to come out the pocket, because he had brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel, because she was innocent. He just didn't like her. And like I said, we see this, in the scripts with Ammon and his brother's Absalom's daughter Tamar. And she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all the days of his life. Yeah, because Jake wanted to just deal with these women, put them away, and then go and marry another one. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones that she die. Because playing the harlot, all right, being a whore, that was not tolerated in the ancient world. All right. And you see, it says the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die. That was very serious. All right, but you don't have that here in these days. That's why these women is out of control. It says because she had wrought folly in Israel. This was folly, man, for a woman to play the whore on a man. That was madness to play the secret whore on a man, all while proclaiming yourself to be a virgin. It was wickedness. To play the whore in her father's house, so shalt thou put evil away from among you. And this is what Joseph, which was the biological father of our Lord, prevented from happening to Mary. Because Joseph, he was, before the marriage ceremony, before they came together, Joseph, he was already going into Mary. He was already having sex. So, the father and mother of Mary, they wasn't able to have the token of virginity. That's why it was in Joseph's best interest, to keep it on the low, and you read the whole story, and Mary, she ended up getting pregnant. She was showing, and he was reminded to put her away privately because she was showing, because Joseph and Mary was arranged to come together and have a marriage ceremony, because we had that. We had marriage ceremonies, and we also had where you just went into the tent, you just took the woman, and she became yours. But having a marriage ceremony, that wasn't always the order of things, but we did have it. It says Deuteronomy 22:21, then they shall bring the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die. That was very serious. The scripture speak about there's a sin not unto death, and there's a sin unto death. So this was major, because she had wrought folly in Israel and played a whore in her father's house. Yeah, because she bringing up a bad name on her father. So shalt thou put evil away from you. So that was evil. And if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, what is this? This is adultery. And adultery is a sin unto death. Once again, if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put evil away from Israel. And it's going to go into why both the man and woman, because the woman, she was down with it. You know, she was down with that. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed to a husband, be promised or engaged, as they call it today, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, take her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. Because this woman as well, she was down with it. So you had a adulterous woman in the ancient world, and we had a way in which we dealt with it, so that cancer, that disease, don't spread, and it was public judgments. Verse 24: Then ye shall bring them both out into the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, if she cried not, if she didn't yell for help or try to escape, that means that she was with it. She was down with it. And the man, because he humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you. Yeah, because that's adultery. That's evil. Let's get the law on adultery. I think it's Leviticus 20 and 10. Mm, 20, oh, slack it. All right. Leviticus 20 and 10. And if the man that committeth adultery, what is adultery? Let's keep reading. With another man's wife. So adultery is a man having sex with a woman that's married. That's adultery. If a man is married and he goes and deal with another woman that's not married, that's not adultery. That's fair game. That's grass on the field. It says, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer, the man, and the adulteress, the woman, shall surely be put to death. And we're reading about it here in Deuteronomy 22:24. Then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. So a public stoning. And, that was for the community to see. Just like how you see these jakes get pulled over by the cops. They doing a little weird shit. Cops pull a sword out and squeeze on them. All right, that's a modern day public stoning. That's for you niggas to get in line. Hey man, you get pulled over by the police. You supposed to agree with your adversaries quickly. But Jake, they ignore that, and they end up in that same situation. It says the damsel, because she cried not, being in the city. She liked the guy. He might have smelled like frankincense and myrrh. He had nice garments on. He probably was stronger than her husband. You know how these women get down. It says, in the man, because he humbled his neighbor's wife, this guy, he was wicked, so shalt thou put away evil from among you. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, this is a married woman, she's out there. She might be out there doing what Ruth was doing, but she was married. She was out there, gleaning grapes. She might have been married, but, the husband might have not been, well off financially. So she had to go to the neighbor's field and pluck the corners to bring some fruit to the house. And the man stepped on her. Hey, what's up? He found a damsel in the field that was betrothed. She was engaged. And the man forced her and lie with her. Then the man only that lie with her shall die. Why? Because this is adultery. All right? This is adultery at the end of the day. And it's stealing. Thou shalt not steal. All right? You stole another man's, possession. That's wickedness. Verse 26, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises up against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. So this situation is just as this guy, committing murder. All right. And it gives the reason why there was no sin worthy of death in that damsel. In this 27 verse, it says, "For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her." She cried out. She probably was kicking, punching, yelling, "Get off of me, I'm married," yada, yada, yada. And the man, he ignored that and still took it. It says, "If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed." Now, this is a young woman, because a damsel is a young woman, maybe 12, 13, 14. In the ancient world, it was a common practice to get a woman when she was young. The whole concept of teenager, that's new. You was a child, and then you went to a young adult. All right, and you became a young adult when, in women, they pass the flower of their age, meaning they start having a menstrual cycle, and that happens around 11, 12, 13 on up. You become a man when you start producing sperm, and that's around the time of puberty. All right, which puberty is a transition from being a child to a young adult. It says, "And if a man find a damsel, a young woman that is a virgin, never laid down with a man, which is not betrothed," she's not engaged, she's not married, she's not promised to anyone, "and lay hold on her," he took her, "and lie with her, and they be found." So this is where the grape topic comes from, and that wasn't something that every man did. Like we started out with, you had men that had what they called a gift of gab. They did the cold approach, as they call it today, and went and enticed a maid that is not betrothed, gamed her up. "Look, baby, you got to be down with me. You see these chariots over here? See these horses? I got gold and silver for you. I got land. I got fruitful land. The Lord blessed me with a nice land. I grow. I got my own business. I'm the one that's in charge of the strong drink in the neighborhood. Everybody come to me for the choice wine. I got substance. You got to be down with me." She like, "All right, cool." Maid gets enticed, and he go into her, and then he go and break bread with the father. But then you had these situations where a man saw a woman that was a virgin, he just took it. You had these different situations, and then you had the situation like we read above about the whole marriage ceremony, where you could pay the dowry, and the father produced the token of virginity, and you had a marriage ceremony. You go into the woman, consummate the marriage. You then give the cloth to the father, and that was a receipt that the daughter was a virgin, and then you got your woman like that. And then you had harlots. You had women that was of lesser degree. They wasn't financially stable, so they had to hit the streets to make ends meet. You had them. And then you had concubines, which were slave women. You might have gotten a woman, right? You might have gotten a wife, and she had a handmaid. So, the man gets both of those women. And we see that with Jacob, with Leah and Rachel. They had two handmaids. So essentially, Jacob, he worked for two women, but got four in total. And these are the ancient ways, man. It's going back to this soon. But once again, Deuteronomy 22:28, "If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her." And let's look at this in other translations, because the other translations, they hit. NIV, New International Version. "If a man happens to meet a virgin who was not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered." So rape is in the Bible, but we had a way in which we dealt with it lawfully. Okay, that's what they missing. 29. "Then the man that lay with her shall give unto her, the damsel's father, 50 shekels of silver." That wasn't no small change. "And she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her." These women that's virgins, they be haughty. They acting like they ish don't stink. They the baddest. You go into them, you bring all that down. You humble them. And you got to do women like that. All right. Women got to be, I mean, I could be all day, giving out the game, but women, you gotta do this right here. You gotta humble them, and that's not on some violent, malicious type deal. Women like to be dominated. So basically, he dominated her. He may not put her away all his days. So there's a stipulation when take a woman in this manner. You know, you can't put her away. You gotta always deal with her. So you rolling the dice. You rolling the dice doing this. You may see a woman that's beautiful and she's a secret witch. A lot of these women is like that. A lot of these fine women, you find out they into tarot cards and they into voodoo, bruja, they doing all kind of wickedness. You didn't did this to this woman, you saw that she was beautiful, and then now you found out she into this shit, this witchcraft, and you can't put her away. So it was rolling the dice. Whereas if you would have got cool with the father, and the father would tell her like, look, I raised her up in the law, the statutes, and commandments, the fear of the Lord. You know what I mean? She worship Yahweh Bashim Shine, spirit and truth. She keep the high holy days the best you can. She cooks, she cleans, she's very submissive. I raised her up from a child. So now that she's older, she ain't gonna depart from it. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and get that one then. Verse 30, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. All right, that's adultery. So I'm going to leave it at that. This was entitled, If a Man Entice a Maid, Lord willing, you are edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the true names of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. And as always, double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us the truth. Shalom, Akim, stay strong.